Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk After School. Today I'm joined by Jillian Amaro from Aspire Counseling, and she's going to be talking to us today about stress and how it can affect not only our students but our parents. So Jillian, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what you specialize in.
Yeah, so I specialize in working with trauma, and I work mostly with adults and teens.
Okay, so right now with everything that's going on, um, are you seeing that that's kind of a heightened time for kids and parents to have stress, or is it normal?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, our whole world is under a heightened state of stress right now. And everybody is dealing with it on some level. I think the hard part is that if you have had a history of trauma or um, difficult events in your life, it is probably going to hit you harder, especially if you haven't worked through those traumas through therapy or some other way. So it just might be a little more jarring to people that um, that have had trauma in the past.
So what are some signs or some indicators that parents can look out for in their kids to kind of say, okay, we're noticing these things that they might be going through something a little bit more stressful?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of different ways that your child might be showing signs of stress. So some would be sleep, actually, maybe too much sleep, maybe not enough sleep. They might be crying more often. They might be having more tantrums. They might actually be clinging to you. So they might be asking you more questions or kind of sticking by your side more because of their unsureness of what's going on, right? And let me think. So, another thing is sometimes, they just might um, kind of, you know, use video games or TV as kind of numbing. So they're just kind of keyed into them the whole day. I guess that's
And-
probably more for teens, but
Yeah, and I was gonna say, just listening to that, I know parents are, because I was thinking the same thing. Is a lot of the stuff is kind of contradictory. So you at one point you said they get too much sleep, and then one time they might not sleep enough. And would
right.
you say that that's just kind of you would just kind of have to go based on what your kid is like, and then if they normally don't sleep a lot, but now they're sleeping half the day, then that's a good indicator.
Yeah, it is tricky. And as I was kind of um, thinking through that, it is contradictory. It's really hard to say for sure. But I think the biggest thing to tell parents about is if you just notice something that's a little off with your child. So yeah, some new behavior that maybe wasn't present before all of this happened. That's probably a sign of stress. And just any usually you want kids in elementary through teens to get somewhere between ideally 10, but anywhere from 8 to 12 hours of sleep. And so if they're way outside that window or they're having trouble falling asleep or whatever, that might be a good indicator for that.
Yeah, because we've had times where we call our students each week and we talk to them a little bit, and just from those little conversations we have with our students, you can pick up on little things. Maybe a kid that talks all the time and is just full of questions and telling you
Right.
their life story. They might be completely shut off, and they might just not really want to talk at all. And that's when you kind of know that
Absolutely.
maybe they're just not handling it as well as some of the other kids. Um,
Right.
so what are some things that kids and parents can do to kind of help them, uh, that are kind of coping mechanisms to help them through this time?
Yeah, so just like you said, you guys are trying to check in with your students. Definitely parents want to be more present if they can. I know it's really, really hard on parents right now, especially if you're still trying to work full time. But as much as you can, really sit down and have conversations about feelings in general. And so the easiest way to do that is to kind of use weather as a metaphor. So I have this book here, Sitting Still Like a Frog, and there's an activity in here, but really it's pretty self-explanatory. So you just kind of tell them, hey, if your feelings were weather, like what does it feel like going on inside of your body right now? right? And so it's really empowering your child to get to know this person that they are on the inside, right? And so it's reinforcing to them that my feelings, maybe they feel really strong, but they're not going to last forever. And so in a time when everything is kind of out of our control, it reminds us that we're in control of our body and we're in somewhat control of our emotions, right? We can notice them without judgment, and we can notice what else is coming in. The other really cool thing about kind of thinking of your emotions as weather is that you can actually feel sometimes like sadness and joy. And so that could be like sunny with, a thunderstorm, which doesn't really happen in nature, but that's kind of the cool thing about our emotions is that, they can really have fun drawing that, for example, if they're an elementary student.
Yeah, and we always talk about how this is mainly when we're trying to come up with activities or how long something should last. We're always talking about how time for us is way different than it is for children. So,
Mm-hmm.
if I say you can't do something for 3 days, well, that's like forever for them,
Right.
or hey, we're going to do this activity for an hour. You might want to break that up because time to them is not, 1 day is forever.
Right.
And so right now, if they're kind of going through those tough times, it might seem like it's only a 30-minute little spell, but to them, it can be kind of drawn out.
Absolutely. And I think that's so easy for us as parents to forget that that kids are experiencing this too, and it's harder for them in some ways because they don't have as much information about what's going on. So yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that book. So that book, "Sitting Still Like a Frog," you can find that on Amazon right now for, I think I just listed it at $10.62. So under $11. And does it just have a bunch of different activities, or what's kind of?
Yeah. So it talks about handling different feelings, and it talks about lots of little activities that you can do. It actually comes with a CD as well, which I don't know where mine went, but they do have a CD, and that goes through some meditations, some guided imagery and meditations that you could listen to with your child. So a parent could use this as kind of stress relief for them at the same time that they're doing it with their child.
Excellent. Well, Jillian, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
And we're going to be trying to coordinate this maybe once a week or so where we can touch base with you and maybe go over some things that maybe are questions that maybe our parents are having. And
Okay.
just thank you again for giving us your time. And just one more thing I'll kind of throw out there is, like she said, if, parents or students are going through something right now, there are resources. Get in contact with your school counselor, get in contact with your school district, and they'll be more than happy to help you right now. I know our counselors are out there trying to let parents know about different resources that they can plug into right now, because it's kind of difficult because you're not sure who's, what's open, what's work,
Right.
who's at work still, who's not. So but again, thank you so much for your time, and thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next time.
All right. Bye.